A beautiful female mutant hunts down monsters in a medieval dark fantasy setting. This story revolves around a hybrid girl who hunts down human-devouring monsters for an organization. But as she's traveling, she's reminded that the organization is not what it seems to be. Driven by revenge, the girl hunts down a monster related to the organization and responsible for taking away her precious person. Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be recapping a classic gore dark fantasy series, Claymore. Adapted in 2007, this show will keep you anxious with its teeth-grinding mystery and rekindle your love for the dark fantasy genre. With its cast of strong, gorgeous female warriors, the show captures the beauty of the dark fantasy world. So without any further delay, let's begin the story. The story begins with a monster galloping over a dead corpse, when a female warrior with mesmerizing yellow eyes appears and with a precise slash of her sword decapitates the monster. Scene shifts to a village in chaos over the looming threat of a Yoma, a horrifying monster that predates on humans and can even disguise itself in the form of one. With the rising toll in casualties, all gather at the elders, looking for a solution against this Yoma. A young man named Zaki pleads to the elder regarding the situation, to which the elder reveals that he has called for a claymore. Claymores are mutants, part human, part Yoma, and the only beings capable of going toe-to-toe with the likes of a Yoma. Eavesdropping at the meeting, Zaki's younger brother, Rocky, notices the silver-eyed woman entering the village. Unlike the other villagers, Rocky feels no threat from the woman and starts following her. The claymore, however, does not reveal her name to Rocky. He returns home only to discover that his brother Zaki was the Yoma all along. As he's about to be killed, the claymore bursts through the roof and manages to kill the Yoma. The next morning, Rocky is abandoned by the villagers out of the fear of him being a Yoma and is wandering helplessly in the desert as someone saves him. Upon waking, Rocky finds himself in an inn and starts looking for the claymore, only to find his way to a different one who turns out to be a Yoma that holds him hostage. The claymore shows up once again, risking her life to save Rocky and killing the Yoma. The claymore lets him tag along as her cook and reveals her name to be Claire. Claire is on another job killing a bunch of Yoma as Rocky notices her overusing her Yoma powers. Later that day, as they were munching on some lizards in the desert, Claire suddenly starts walking off and asks Rocky not to follow her. In the woods, she meets her handler, Rubel, who gives her new clothes and a black card which shocks her as she sees a familiar symbol. She gets back to Rocky and reveals to him that they're setting off to Sheely. Upon arriving there, Claire leaves Rocky at the inn and she sets off to do her job. Rubel appears at the inn and reveals to Rocky that Claymore can be taken over by their Yoma side, and in that case, they need to be slayed. As expected, Rocky panics and starts chasing after Claire, catching up to her on a mountain. Claire explains that her mission is to slay a Claymore, her friend and the one who sent her the black card, who's reaching her Yoki limit and is about to be awakened as a Yoma. Upon finding her friend, Claire has an emotional exchange with her and reveals her name to be Elena. Claire then cuts her friend in two as Elena apologizes and thanks Claire for killing her while still as a human. Claire puts Elena's sword into the ground alongside her grave. After the mission is accomplished, Rubel sends Claire on a covert operation to the holy city, Rabona, where a Yoma has been devouring the innards of several priests. But Rabona doesn't allow atrocious beings to enter the city, so Claire takes Yoma suppressing pills to appear human, but on the expense of losing the ability to sense Yoma. She and Rocky enter the city under the disguise of brother and sister, head towards the church, and meet the one who asked for Claire, Father Vincent. Claire meets the father later that night and gains some information, but she asks for him to take care of Rocky if she dies. On the way back, she's ambushed by Gulk and Sid, two guards who suspect her of being a claymore, but she manages to skillfully evade them. The next morning, the soldiers enter Claire and Rocky's room and accuse Claire of being a claymore. Rocky, however, manages to convince them into thinking that she's a normal girl. Upon nightfall, Claire leaves in search of the Yoma, but is once again attacked by Gulk and Sid. After an exchange of moves, they hear a scream from the cathedral and start heading there, but unable to sense the Yoma, Claire gets attacked by it. Trying to save Gulk and Sid, she is impaled by the Yoma's nails and goes wane. Gulk and Sid bring in Claire's lifeless body after the Yoma runs at the sight of a great number of soldiers, and after 2 days of Rocky's praying, Claire wakes up. Upon awakening, she asks a favor from Father Vincent to inspect the priests of the cathedral to test if any one of them is possessed by a Yoma. But even after inspecting the last priest, Father Vincent, she's unable to find the Yoma. After relentless pondering, she realizes that it could have disguised itself as a corpse. Meanwhile, in the baptism room, Rocky, who was waiting for Claire, is attacked by the Yoma, who possessed the corpse. Claire interjects the blow of the Yoma and saves Rocky. Gulk and Sid form a 3-man team with the claymore. Together, the 3 of them fight the Yoma and cut one of its limbs, but Claire's small blades are unable to reach the Yoma's head. That is when Rocky throws her the sword, and with Gulk and Sid holding down the Yoma, Claire cuts his other limbs before slicing it in half. However, Claire, having used too much of her powers, asks Gulk to kill her when she's still human. But after hearing Rocky's words that he wants to die with Claire, she manages to regain control. Later, Claire and Rocky say goodbye to Father Vincent, Gulk, and Sid as they leave the city for their next job. Going back in time, we follow another claymore who is slaying Yoma, and after finishing the job, she meets a handler of the organization who introduces her as Claymore number 1, Teresa of the Faint Smile, and gives her instructions for the next job. Upon reaching the village following the instructions, she effortlessly and breathlessly slays all 7 Yoma still disguised as humans. After spending the night at the village, Teresa is confronted by a mute girl who was tortured by one of the Yoma slain. The girl relentlessly tries to cling to Teresa, but she kicks her away every time. The girl even goes as far as following her into the forest. The 2 are suddenly attacked by bandits. Teresa, not allowed to hurt humans, accidentally cuts the hand of a bandit. The bandits attempt revenge, but run away at the sight of Teresa's body. Teresa decides to take care of the girl until she finds a village for her. And since the girl couldn't speak, Teresa named her Claire. Teresa informs Claire that she plans to leave her at the next village, and upon hearing that, she starts crying. At night, as Claire falls asleep, Teresa goes on a walk where she is confronted by the bandit whose arm she sliced off. As the bandit tries to take advantage with Teresa, Claire hits him in the head, who in response slaps Claire. Seeing this, Teresa warns him that it's her choice to follow the rule about killing humans, which scares the man away. Claire hugs Teresa, and the mute girl finally speaks, asking if Teresa was fine. Upon hearing this, the cold claymore tears up, realizing how she was the one in pain. At the town, Teresa kills a Yoma and asks the people to take Claire in. A kind couple agree to do so. On her way back from there, Teresa sees bandits heading towards the village and starts sprinting back, but what she sees upon reaching the village is utterly inhumane. Teresa sees Claire being carried away by the same handless bandit, and she finally loses her cool, slaying all the bandits in the town. Later, Teresa is surrounded by 5 claymores who are there to execute her, but Teresa slashes all 5 and takes Claire, claiming that she's found meaning for her existence. The handler orders claymore number 2 to 5 to be dispatched to execute Teresa. 4 top-ranking claymores, Sophia, Noel, Irene, and Priscilla, gather and head to slay Teresa. Meanwhile, Teresa and Claire are staying at an inn, and Claire is sleeping in her lap. Teresa detects 3 claymores entering the village, and soon Irene discovers Teresa's room. After a little chit-chat, Teresa is attacked by Irene, Sophia, and Noel, but Teresa grabs Claire and leaps out. Outside, she is attacked by Priscilla and is barely able to defend, shocked that she never felt Priscilla's presence. The 2 battle, but Teresa soon starts gaining the upper hand. The other 3 join the battle, making it a 4-on-1. All 4 of them unleash their enormous yoki. Teresa fights all 4 claymore effortlessly without releasing her yoki and manages to subdue them. She then raises her sword over Priscilla's head, on which she starts crying and asking for someone to save her. Seeing this, Teresa puts her sword in the sheath and complains that Claire has made her soft. Soon, the 2 leave the village. Irene approaches Priscilla to help her, but Priscilla unleashes enormous yoki and heads toward Teresa, making the other claymores panic. When Teresa sees Priscilla, she warns Priscilla that if she unleashes more than 80% power, she won't be able to revert back to a human. Priscilla ignores her advice and charges at Teresa, cutting her, which finally makes Teresa unleash 10% of her yoki. Now, Teresa easily subdues the raging Priscilla, but Priscilla is already at the point of no return and begs Teresa to save her, but it's too late. Teresa tells her that all she can do now is kill her, to which Priscilla agrees, but cuts Teresa's hands off before fully decapitating her. Priscilla unleashes more power, fully awakens, killing Sophia, Noel, and Irene, after which she heads toward the town. A scared Claire walks towards Teresa's severed head and embraces it in her lap. Young Claire takes Teresa's head to Rubel and asks him to put Teresa's flesh and blood inside her. The scene cuts to the current Claire, who's accused of insubordination by 3 claymores, because all of them were assigned to the mission of slaying the Yoma. A voracious eater was also suspected to be among them, but wasn't. Rubel later reveals to her that the Yoma she faced in Rabona wasn't actually a voracious eater. Voracious eaters are actually called awakened beings. The organization wanted to cover that up, just like Priscilla. Claire is assigned to a 4-man team with number 6 Myra, number 15 Deneve, and number 22 Helen, on a hunt of an awakened being. Among them, number 47 Claire is considered the lowest ranking and the weakest claymore. After leaving Rocky at the town's inn, the team sets up camp. Miria still has her doubts about Claire because she felt her immense power before, and she asks Claire to battle her in order to judge her strength. Claire, however, gets completely overpowered and spends the night outside on the ground, dreaming of Teresa. The next evening, the team sets off towards their target site, but to their surprise, they encounter a male awakened being which they can't even imagine beating with this team. The Claymores enter into a battle with this awakened being, but are no match for its amazing strength. Its unreal regenerative powers and physical capabilities are far superior to all of them combined. Meanwhile, at the inn, the innkeeper tells Rocky that Claymore who go to the mountain never come back. After the defeat of her team, Miria shows her swiftness, her speed being unrivaled, and saves her team. But the awakened being eventually pins her down and tortures her. Deneve and Helen lay helpless, but Claire gets up and moves towards the awakened beast. The beast attacks, but she somehow dodges all its moves, which makes Miria realize that Claire can tell the flow of yoki by suppressing her own and predict attacks. Miria recovers as Claire keeps the monster busy. With Miria's swiftness and Claire's ability to sense his yoki, they attack and finish off the awakened being. After the fight ends, all 4 Claymore converse. Miria theorizes that the mission might have just been a suicide mission to get rid of troublemakers like them. Miria asks the teams to continue obeying the organization and keep a lid on this conversation. Miria also warns the team as they part ways about the current top 5 Claymores. Number 1, Alicia, number 2, Beth, number 3, Galatia, number 4, Ophelia, and number 5, Rafaela. She tells them to run from them at all cost, since none of them is strong enough to fight even one of the top 5. Claire is sent on another assignment to hunt down another awakened being, but to her surprise, she's not the only Claymore at the site. The gray-haired Claymore grabs Claire, sniffs her, and tastes her blood, telling Claire that she reminds her of an awakened being. Rocky soon arrives and frees Claire after attacking the Claymore, revealing her symbol to Claire. Upon realizing that the Claymore is number 4 Ophelia, who's known for her ruthlessness, Claire tries to evade her, as Miria told her to. Ophelia cuts her legs before Claire can do anything and amuses herself by introducing an inhumane game. Ophelia will fight Rocky on his level as Claire tries to reattach her legs, but Ophelia will increase her power every minute. If Claire doesn't manage to reattach her legs, Rocky dies and it's game over. Ophelia attacks Rocky, who shows some extraordinary guts, but soon is overwhelmed. But just as he's close to losing his life, an awakened being pops up. Ophelia, for the sake of her amusement, throws Rocky at the awakened being, but Claire saves him after releasing an extraordinary amount of yoki and reattaching her legs. Upon seeing this, Ophelia concludes that Claire must be an awakened being, and her bloodlust increases as she charges at Claire and Rocky escaping, but is impeded by the awakened being. Claire and Rocky get away as far as possible. Meanwhile, Ophelia effortlessly subdues the awakened being. Upon reaching the forest, Claire tells Rocky to split up, but Rocky protests, saying that he wants to stay with Claire. But Claire kisses Rocky and promises that they shall be reunited again. And tearfully, our two protagonists part. We'll end this recap on this heart-wrenching cliffhanger. This story revolves around a claymore named Claire and a boy named Rocky whom she saved. As they both travel, with Claire hunting down Yoma, she looks back into her past of how she became a claymore. Due to her sometimes being unable to control her powers, the organization she works for tries to get rid of her, but she hangs on, for herself, Teresa, and Rocky. Currently, they're separated after a horrific encounter of an overpowered claymore. Will they ever meet again? Guess you'll have to stick around for that.